Hello everyone, my name is Tony. I am the owner of Johor Kaki blog. It is a travel and food blog. Travel to different places, enjoy the views, the attractions, all the sights, and especially I love to try out the food. One of the favorite places that I've been to in the past 10 years is Jiangsu province. Today I want to share with you the good food that I experienced in Jiangsu province, and I hope that you will also want to visit. Just like me, I want to be back in Jiangsu province again. Jiangsu is one of the 23 provinces of China. It is by the sea. It is on its east is the Yellow Sea and the East China Sea, and it has two rivers running through it. One of them is the famous Yangtze River. The other is shorter. Yangtze River is the longest river in China, and then there is a shorter tributary known as the Huai River that runs through Jiangsu province. Jiangsu province cuisine is one of the 8 great cuisines of China. And then, further subdividing, Jiangsu cuisine is considered the greatest 4, together with Sichuan cuisine, Guangdong cuisine, Shandong cuisine, and number 4, one of the 4 is Jiangsu cuisine. Jiangsu province has 13 prefectures, and each prefecture has its own city. The capital city is Nanjing, and the other well-known cities are Yangzhou, Suzhou. You also know Shanghai, of course. Shanghai was part of Jiangsu, and it was separated, made into a municipality in 1927. But Shanghai cuisine is still often considered part of Jiangsu cuisine. I mentioned to you the geography of Jiangsu already. It is very well blessed with rivers. There are 2 great ones. The greatest of all, Yangtze River, is 6,000 kilometers long. Then there's Huai River, and then the sea. The sea on its east. In the province itself, there's also lakes, many lakes. The biggest ones are Taihu Lake and Yangcheng Lake. Now, all these features, Great Plains, rivers, lakes, and the sea, contributed many ingredients to Jiangsu cuisine. So you will see in Jiangsu cuisine many fish, prawns, seafood, and there's also duck and other waterfowl, plus pork, of course. Before I go further, maybe I should just tell you about some Jiangsu cuisine. Now, you must have heard of Yangzhou Cao Fan, Yangzhou fried rice. You must have heard of Dongzuo roll. You must have heard of teddy crabs, the little lobsters, the lion head. The first thing that I taste is sweetness, followed by gentle savouriness. Characteristics of Jiangsu cuisine are its emphasis on its fresh ingredients. So the fish that comes from the river, from the lakes, from the sea, the seafood, and the ducks, all these waterfowl. The emphasis is on freshness, and the cooking techniques used are mainly steaming, simmering, double boiling, braising, stewing. The idea is to preserve and to enhance and to bring out the natural flavors of the ingredients. The texture of most Jiangsu cuisine are, tender, soft, but not mushy. And the idea is to enjoy the natural food as much as possible. Another important aspect of Jiangsu cuisine is the cutting skills. Very important to cut the food skillfully, and it contributes to the texture and also the flavor of the dish. So Jiangsu dishes are mainly on the sweeter side, on the savory side. So you will not find many spicy dishes among Jiangsu cuisine, and you will not find many deep fried dishes in Jiangsu cuisine. In Beijing you have Beijing roast duck. In Jiangsu you will find another duck, Jiangsu salted duck. Instead of roasting the duck in Jiangsu, in Nanjing, and then of course you find it all over Jiangsu itself, they will salt the duck, air dry it, then they will boil and simmer it with some spices. Now, what you will get, which is very characteristic of Jiangsu cuisine, it is a tender, juicy piece of duck, a little bit savory, a bit salty. The skin has a bit of crunch, and you don't get much duck gaminess. It's a delicious dish. I really love it a lot. So if you go to Jiangsu, and you should go to Jiangsu, you can look out for Nanjing duck. You can't miss it. Everywhere you turn, there will be Nanjing salted duck. Another dish which you probably have tried before is Dongguo roll. Now, Dongguo roll is an important part of Jiangsu cuisine, and it is now, you can find it in Chinese restaurants all over the world. It is pork belly cut into cubes, quite big piece, and then stewed in soy sauce and a bit of spices. Now and then, when it is cooked, it is tender. The meat is so soft but not mushy. It's a bit of chewiness, a bit of squeakiness, but not mushy. Then there is the fat. It's like melts in the mouth, and the skin. The skin has a little bit of glaze, not sugary glaze. It's because Jiangsu people like a bit of sweetness, so it's a balance of sweet, savory, and then natural taste of pork. Dongguo roll. Next one is hairy crabs. Everybody have heard of hairy crabs. The crabs come from the two great lakes of Jiangsu, Yangcheng Lake and Taihu Lake. The best come from Yangcheng Lake. It's a smaller lake. The best hairy crabs in the world come from Yangcheng Lake, but most of us, like myself, don't have much chance to try that kind of very rare. Demand is much greater than the supply, but we can get crabs from Taihu Lake. Taihu Lake is a much bigger lake, and it is much more accessible, and I really enjoy it. Just typical Jiangsu style, just clean the crab, just steam it. After that, you gotta pick out the meat from the little crustacean, pick out the little white flesh, dip it in a bit of vinegar and julienne ginger, and there you are. Just the natural sweetness of the crab. People go crazy over the roll and the gut. This has this umami and inky taste.
有奖送礼接着来。
If you go to Jiangsu, if you go to Shanghai, you see little lobsters, restaurants of little lobsters everywhere. You go to the market, you see people selling little lobsters. It's actually it's crayfish. The crayfish they harvest from the waterways, the rivers, the streams around Jiangsu. It is every corner you turn, you will see little lobster restaurants. Now, it's a little 4-5 inches, maybe 6 inches long. Most of it is the head. The biggest part of the little lobster is just the head. So you take out the tail, and then you just eat a little meat in the tail. Now, it is cooked in different ways. The most popular I saw is something known as 13香. It is stew, cook, simmer, a little bit of fry in 13 different spices. Actually, it's more than 13, but they just call it 13 spices, 13香. The meat is like shrimp, it's like prawn, but a little bit softer. The taste is sweet, but not in the prawn kind of sweetness. It has its own flavor. So when you go to Jiangsu and Shanghai, you look for this dish. You can't miss it. You will be definitely tasting these little lobsters. The most famous Jiangsu dish perhaps is what? What do you think? It's Yangzhou 炒饭. Every restaurant in the world you go to, whether it's North America, Europe, Australia, Southeast Asia, Singapore, every Chinese restaurant has a fried rice dish, and more often than not, it is Yangzhou 炒饭. The dish comes from Yangzhou. Now, the two main ingredients are rice, kept overnight, and then egg yolk. The egg yolk is beaten in the rice, and the egg yolk is fried together with a little bit of chopped prawn, carrot. The result is eggy, sweet rice, fluffy. Actually, it's not greasy, a little bit fluffy, and the rice is tender, and so it's full of eggy sweetness. Plus a little bit of caramelization. We call it 锅气. Just a little bit, not too much, a little bit. Then another dish. This is lion head. Nothing to do with lion. No, not eating lion. It is actually a meatball, a pork ball to be specific. It is pork belly. Chop. As I said, in Jiangsu cuisine, chopping is very, very important. So chop. More than half of the meatball is fat, but don't worry. It does not feel greasy or fat. So there are two ways of preparing lion head. It's a tennis ball. It can be smaller, but usually it's about a tennis ball size. You can either stew it, or you can cook it by boiling. Parboil it to 70 to 80%, then double boil it in chicken soup. Now, when you eat lion head, it is soft, and the meat is tender. Then the fat really melts in your mouth. It's just full of juices, sweet, savory. It's a blend of layers of savoriness from the pork, from the chicken. Lion head. Get your lion head. Anyway, you may be curious why is it called lion head. It's pork, right? Why is it called lion head? It is named after those, when you go to important Chinese buildings like banks, temples, you will see guardian lions outside. If you look at the head, at the back of the head, it is rough. So they call this pork dish lion head because it looks like the head of a lion. Try it. Oh, the aroma. The savory aroma with a bit of green, fresh. That's
它的特点就是要软滑、香嫩，而且汤要清，汤要清澈到底，所以叫清炖狮子头。
So it is soft, tender, and smooth, and it is clean and clear tasting.
Yes.
And that's why it is called 清蒸狮子头，
要很清，而且要吃到肉的鲜，
yes，
要吃到那个菌白菜的甜味在里面吸收，它的肉炖到那个油已经融化了，然后它的肉啊就吸收它的汤汁吸收我们里面还有放那个菌白菜。菌白菜是纯粹的甜味，我们是没有放味精。
So the hand chopped lean meat fat have its own flavor, but it also infuse and absorb the flavors of the soup, which is made from ham, Chinese ham, and there's also fresh vegetables, and there's a wolfberry. So it brings in its own savory umami and also the green sweetness of the vegetable. It's easy to understand why this dish is so popular and such an important classic representative of Jiangsu cuisine.
一般新加坡我们做的是，可能是红烧比较多，清炖就可能比较少一点。因为有些人会看到，清炖很多肥肉在里面，其实现在我们都减肥肉，就是健康。而且它的油分已经全部炖出来了。
Then there's Taihu Sanbai, the 3 whites of Taihu. Taihu is very important, but Taihu is the largest lake in Jiangsu province. Now, there's white fish, white bait, and white prawns. The white fish, people there just simply make omelets of the white bait, not white fish, white bait. Sorry, it's a very small fish. It's like in Malaysia, in Singapore, it's called ikan bilis. It's something like that. It's white bait. So they just simply make omelets with it. There's white prawn. White prawn you just blanch it, and then you peel and eat the prawns. The prawns are small, about this size, very sweet, but the shell is a bit hard. Then there's the white fish. When you go to Jiangsu, right, there'll be so many fish dishes that they will feed you. There's white fish from Taihu Lake. There's baked, simply steamed with a bit of soy sauce and a bit of oil. The meat is very sweet, very tender and delicate. But just be careful because there's a lot of small little bones, quite spiny little bones, and be careful. Finally, I want to tell you about Wensi Tofu. Now, I said before in Jiangsu, right, one of the important criteria is the cutting skills. So this Wensi Tofu is a very, very simple dish. It's just a piece of tofu, any ordinary white tofu. But what makes it extraordinary is the chopping. The chef, you need at least 5 years of training to do this. Chop, 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 chop. You will cut it into 5,000 to 10,000 strands. And then they will be made into a little puffy ball, like a blossom, like a flower. You put it into simmer it in chicken soup. And then it's served. When you taste it, right, it's ordinary tofu in the chicken soup, but because of the way it is cut, it looks different and it tastes different, it feels different. It's such a iconic and memorable dish from Jiangsu. So when you go to Jiangsu, this is one of the dishes you must look for. So there you are. I briefly share with you Jiangsu cuisine, the geography of Jiangsu, the characteristic of Jiangsu dishes, which is emphasis on natural ingredients, natural taste, simple cooking, simmering, steaming, stewing, and the emphasis on chopping skills. Now, I really miss Jiangsu and really hope to go back as soon as possible. There are so many other dishes I want to try. I just shared with you only a small amount. There are many more. So let's go to Jiangsu together and enjoy the beauty of Jiangsu. It is so rich in history. The architecture is wonderful. The natural beauty is breathtaking, and the food is absolutely delicious. One of the greatest form of Chinese cuisine. Let's go Jiangsu.
有奖送你接着来。